so it's good for 48 hours.
48 hours,
You
eh?
have to keep it safe. Every time you hop on the bus, you have to show tickets, okay?
Okay.
Great. That's easy.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So we can hop onto this one?
Es que primero vamos allá.
So we're going to be visiting.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks, man. Thanks a lot. Front, back, middle.
Where shall we sit? Down here?
Maybe down there.
You go if you want to film.
Yes. Excellent. Two boys and two girls. You can go and sit with the two girls.
Oh, she wanna sit at? Oh, can I sit there? Oh no, you're taking
I'm
pictures.
taking.
I can sit by myself because I wanna sit too.
Saves a lot of walking. So this is the map. We're gonna be going through Toronto. Let's see. Say hi, DJ.
Hello.
What's your name, DJ? Hi, DJ.
It's like mine.
What's your name? Hi, Lorraine. What's your name, Lorraine? What's your name? Hello.
Hello, I'm Dot. I'm in Toronto. Woohoo!
Well, there we are, downtown Toronto. We're gonna be enjoying the city ride. You see, we're waiting for everybody else to open. To get on the bus, and then we'll be going really crazy. Really crazy. Oh, see that? That's why. Keep this for me today. So point A, from point A to point whatever, to point T, those are the sites we're going to be seeing. Go to Toronto.
Okay, so we maybe that corner. Oh yeah, we're not doing that in there.
So where are we? Who's here maybe?
Let's decorate.
Come on. Yes, just right behind us. So we're here. Is that right?
Yeah,
We're somewhere here.
I think we're there.
Right here. And then we'll go from there to wherever it takes us to. Okay. In the reflection of the CN Tower, you see number 2 right behind me. Right here.
Purchase of discount attraction tickets. If you weren't aware, City Sightseeing does offer about a 10% discount on tickets to the CN Tower, Ripley's Aquarium of Canada, Casa Loma, Royal Ontario Museum, Hockey Hall of Fame, pretty much any downtown Toronto attraction that you need tickets for, we offer those tickets, 10% off. So if you're looking to purchase those discount tickets from us, just let me know, raise your hand, and I'll have Cardosa come up here and she can help you out. We just ask that you purchase those discount tickets en route to the actual attraction. So before we come to the attraction that you're looking for, because once we come to the stop for the attraction, we are no longer able to sell you the tickets. So we do ask that you do it en route. And did I see somebody interested? Yeah, okay. We are going to be coming up to stop number 15, which is for Union Station. Do we have any stop requests for stop 15, which is Union Station? There are no stop requests for stop 15.
Yeah.
We usually have a lot of people that are waiting for us at stop 15.
Ooh,
so
I wanna.
pick them up, and then we'll continue on the tour.
They're making a movie here. Oh, that's huge. Oh, imagine. Exactly. There we are, heading towards southeast. Southeast road. Oh, there are some more people to pick up. Oh, so there are some more people to pick up. Oh, it's already Starbucks. There we are. Now we can say hello. There we are, visiting Toronto. Hey, we're gonna be having fun. So, what's your name, Mom?
Hi, I'm Dot from Australia.
Are you enjoying your stay in Vancouver?
It's fantastic. We're not in Vancouver though. That was last week.
Me.
We're in Toronto, remember?
Yeah.
Where you live.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks. We're gonna be enjoying ourselves now. We're gonna be visiting.
He gets lost.
We're gonna be visiting a lot of Toronto now. There we go. I'm gonna be showing you around.
With a bunch of windows in the front. That is Union Station. And Union Station is the busiest passenger transportation hub in Canada. Before I tell you more about Union Station, if you look directly in front of the bus, you'll see this skyscraper that has one curved side to it, and there's also a crane at the top of the skyscraper. It's kind of like a greenish, bluish color. That skyscraper there, even though it looks like it's under construction because there is a crane, they actually stopped construction 3 years ago, and the crane has been stuck up there for 3 entire years. So it's because the way that the building is shaped, it's curved at the top, so they can't figure out how to get that crane down without it falling off and crushing a bunch of people. So they just decided to leave it up there until they can figure it out. So it has been stuck up there for 3 years, and there's no sign of it coming down anytime soon. Another thing about that building, all of the windows that are facing north, that are facing on the curved side of the building, those windows haven't been washed since the building opened 3 years ago. Because they can't figure out how to set up a window washing rig to the curved side of the building. So they're just really dirty windows, and there's also a crane stuck at the top of that building. It looks cool, but I guess there wasn't really that much thought into it.
That's really, really interesting.
So Union Station, that is the busiest passenger transportation hub in Canada. And it's even busier than Pearson International Airport. I'm sure that some of you have experience with Pearson and you know just how insanely busy it can get. Well, Union Station, it's even busier. It's the busiest in all of Canada. And the reason why Union Station is so busy is because Toronto is considered to be a commuter city.
Right.
Most of the people who who work in downtown Toronto oftentimes don't live here.
That's a Union Station.
So they work here because this is where a lot of jobs are. But sometimes they don't like living in downtown Toronto, and they choose to live on the outskirts of the city or in an entirely different city, and then they will commute in to come to work here. And if you commute into work in Toronto, you usually take the GO train. The GO train basically just connects downtown Toronto to other cities along Lake Ontario going east and west. So it's a really great way for commuters to come in and out of Toronto. And of course, taking a train is faster than taking a car, especially during rush hour.
Right.
We are coming up to this low bridge. Please stay seated as we pass underneath. All right, we are all seated, all clear to go.
That's a very big one and very dirty.
If you are interested in visiting Union Station, I suggest you go more in the middle of the day, like 12 p.m. or 1 p.m. Because if you go during rush hour, it can get very overwhelming. You can feel like a fish caught swimming upstream with all those people swarming around you. So maybe just to make it a little easier on yourself, I would go more in the middle of the day when you can actually see the station. Now, coming up on our left-hand side is the Scotiabank Arena. As soon as we come closer to this intersection ahead of us here, if you look down the street and to our left, the Scotiabank Arena is right at the end of that street coming up. Now, the Scotiabank Arena used to be called the Air Canada Centre. Until this year, July 1st, they changed the name to the Scotiabank Arena because Scotiabank bought a 20-year contract with the building. For those of you at the front of the bus, there it is down to our left-hand side. And the Scotiabank Arena is home to the Toronto Maple Leafs, which is our hockey team. It's also home to the Toronto Raptors, which is our basketball team. And it's also home to the Toronto Rock, which is our lacrosse team. A fun fact about Canada, our national sport is not hockey, it's actually lacrosse. A lot of people think that Canada's national sport is hockey. It's not, it's lacrosse. I don't know why it's lacrosse. I have never met a single person who even watches lacrosse.
No.
That's our national sport, it is lacrosse. If you're ever at a trivia night and you're asked which is the national sport of Canada, you're going to win. Everybody else is going to lose because they're going to say hockey, but they're going to say lacrosse. So here we are at the base of the CN Tower. We're coming up to its base. On a day like today, when you look up to the CN Tower and you can see the entire thing, that's when you want to go check it out because that's when you're going to get the best view from the observation deck. But if you ever look up at the CN Tower and you notice that you can't see the top of it because it's covered in low-hanging clouds or fog, then don't go visit the CN Tower on a day like that. Because when you get to the observation deck, you're just going to see a white wall of cloud. And that's not what you're paying for. You want to see that beautiful view of Toronto. So on a day like today, when it's nice and clear and sunny, that's when you want to go and check it out. You're going to get a nice view from the observation deck today. We are coming up to stop 16. Stop number 16 is our stop for, or it's our last stop for the CN Tower, Ripley's Aquarium of Canada, and the Rogers Centre. Did we have any stop requests for stop 16? There are no stop requests upstairs. So directly in front of the bus next to the CN Tower is the Rogers Centre with that big white domed roof just directly in front of us here. The Rogers Centre is where the Toronto Blue Jays play, which is our baseball team. And the Blue Jays do have a game today at 4:07 p.m. So there's going to be a little bit of traffic getting into that game. There's also going to be loads of traffic when the game lets out at around 7 p.m. today. If you are ever, or if tonight you're at a stop, you're waiting for a bus, but it's not coming, and you look at the time and you notice it's around 7, then we're stuck in traffic. That's why we're not coming. You're stuck in traffic around the Blue Jays. We will try our best to be there as soon as possible, but that's what's going to happen today. Just the Blue Jays are always a source of congestion here in Toronto.
Can we stand up? I want to film you. So that's the aquarium there. Just wonder
if you're interested in going to check out the Blue Jays, they play a lot. And they're playing, I think they played yesterday, they're playing today.
That's what we're talking about, and this is the aquarium here.
And each ticket to the Blue Jays is just about $20. It's not that expensive because the Rogers Centre is a 50,000 seat arena, so it never really sells out every single night of the week. That's why you can go and see the Blue Jays anytime, even halfway through the game, you can go and buy a ticket.
That's $20. Because it's baseball. Oh, it's baseball! It's baseball. It's baseball.
You can get Blue Jays tickets for tonight's game.
You wanna do that?
Yes,
we can do that.
Yes, we can do that. I think she said the game starts at 4 o'clock.
At 4 o'clock? Yes.
It's only $20.
Yeah, we can do that. The aquarium. So 2020, I'm gonna do that. Blue Jays.
You know, the person who designed this is the same person who designed our school.
You told me that.
But did you like to go and see the Blue Jays?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a Blue Jays game tonight.
Yeah, there is a game. Yeah. There was also one yesterday too.
Oh, say no.
No?
If you say no, you will go home. If he says no, he goes home. Oh yeah, he's our tour guy. Yeah, I know. We can afford to. Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I think too.
So the CN Tower. The CN Tower is the top tourist destination here in Toronto, and it used to hold the world record for world's tallest freestanding tower. That was until 2010 when the Burj Khalifa was completed in Dubai. The Burj Khalifa is 1,000 feet taller than the CN Tower, so it took that title away from us of tallest freestanding tower in the world.
It's still second though.
Don't worry, the CN Tower is still the tallest freestanding tower in the Western Hemisphere. It does still hold one world record. So at the very top of the CN Tower, there is a restaurant. And this restaurant is called 360. It's called 360 because it's constantly rotating and it completes a 360-degree turn about every hour. So it's a great way to enjoy some fine dining, all while getting that beautiful panoramic view of Toronto. It is rotating all the time, so you get to see every inch of the city. It's very gorgeous. And at the 360, they don't just serve food, they also serve a huge amount of wine. They have a giant wine collection, wine from all over the world.
Huge amount.
So they keep it in the world's highest wine cellar. And that is the world record that the CN Tower still holds today. It's the world's highest wine cellar, which I think is pretty funny, but definitely a world record we would like to keep here in Toronto. We don't want it getting taken away anytime soon.
Right.
The next stop that we're heading to right now is stop 17. And stop 17 is the stop for your free boat tour. That's
See that?
included with the
You see
purchase
the
of your
airport?
bus
You see
ticket.
the airplane? I saw an airplane landing there. Yeah.
We do have some stop requests. If you weren't aware, with the purchase of your bus ticket, you do get a free boat tour. It comes free with the purchase of your bus ticket, complimentary, and you can pick that boat tour up from our stop 17, which is where we're going to right now. The boat is running every hour on the half hour. The first boat of the day is 10:30, then 11:30, 12:30, and so on. So that means the next one's going to be at 12:30 for you guys. And the last boat tour of the day is 7:30. The good thing about your boat tour tickets is that they never expire. So even after your bus tickets have expired, after those 2 days are up, keep them. Don't throw them out because they're still good to get onto the boat. Even next week, even a year from now, even 10 years from now.
Nice.
You can even give them to your grandchildren in your will if you really want to.
Oh
They
my
never
goodness,
ever
she's
expire.
funny.
But it is a one-time use ticket. So one bus ticket will get you one free boat tour. The boat tour is about 45 minutes long, 45 minutes. It is a non-stop tour, so it doesn't stop at the Toronto Islands. If you wanted to get off at the islands, you can either take the Jack Layton Ferry Terminal or a water taxi to get over there. Just not this boat tour. And when we come to stop 17 here, there are some people dressed in red, and they will be able to show you how to get over to the boat. It's really not that hard to get there. It's about a 4-minute walk away. All you want to do is just go, if you look behind the bus, just go between the two buildings, turning left, and then go over the bridge, and then turn right, and you'll see a black umbrella. That's where the line starts for our boat. Okay.
Oh, that's for the people actually getting off.
¿Por qué estabas hablando? Ahora le voy a
No, pero no sé qué lo canjeas. Lo puedes utilizar ahora, lo puedes utilizar hasta dentro de un año o hasta que tú quieras. No.
I'm gonna be filming the You mentioned what? Good. See. There we go, and back right here.
On board this bus.
My guy is
Do not
mad.
stand while the bus is en route or in motion. Even if we're stopped at a red light.
my
or a
guy
stop
is
sign,
really
please
mad.
don't
Is
get
that
out
a
of your
guy or is that a
seats.
girl?
Please stay seated.
She is
You
really
are
mad.
permitted to stand up once we
Is
come
it a
to
guy?
the designated stop, but other than
I
that,
missed him,
please
though.
act like you have glue on the bottom of your pants and you can't get out of your seats.
There is the one.
Oh, there is.
So
Look,
right now we are
yeah.
traveling along Queens
Oh.
Quay Street.
Look.
And Queens Quay Street is the first ever complete street here in Toronto. So what that means is that for every mode of transportation that exists, it has its own lane of traffic to travel in. And if you look to our right-hand side, you'll see what I mean. There's the really wide sidewalks for pedestrian traffic. We have our bike lanes for cyclist traffic. Next to the bike lanes, we have our streetcar tracks, which is for the public transportation. That's our streetcar system. And then we are currently traveling along the two normal lanes of traffic for cars and buses like ourselves. That's what a complete street is. It's just a little bit of an easier, safer way to travel. Rather than having everybody bunched up together into one street, everybody has their own way to go. And if you look to our right-hand side, you will notice the Harbourfront Centre. The Harbourfront Centre is this big complex here to our right. 10-acre complex. And it was part of the City of Toronto's revitalization of the waterfront project. About 40 years ago, the waterfront here in Toronto was very gross. It was nasty, it was polluted, nobody wanted to come spend time here. There was just a bunch of abandoned industrial warehouses, just not so much fun stuff for people to do. So the City of Toronto, they decided to start their waterfront revitalization project, which included transforming Queens Quay into the complete street that it is right now, cleaning up the waterfront, making it way less polluted, and installing the Harbourfront Centre. Now the Harbourfront Centre brought a lot of arts and culture into Toronto's waterfront, because the main part of the Harbourfront Centre is the Harbourfront Theatre, or stage, where a lot of live dance performance happens, live contemporary dance, so that they bring a lot of arts and culture here. And if you're interested in seeing some live dance in Toronto, you can either go to the Harbourfront Centre or one of the many other dance theatres we have located around downtown Toronto. There are tons and tons of them, no shortage of dance here in our city. So if you guys are just coming back from the boat tour, and maybe while you were out on the water you saw the Toronto Islands and you thought maybe you want to go visit them a little bit further, go step foot on them, I do recommend you go. The Toronto Islands are very, very fun to visit, and the way that you get over there is through the Jack Layton Ferry Terminal, Toronto's official ferry terminal, and that's just coming up on our right-hand side here. So down the street to our right at the end of it, that is where the Jack Layton Ferry Terminal is. That's where you can go and catch a ferry going to the islands. And a round trip to and from the Toronto Islands is just under $8 a person. Or if you're a student or senior, it's $5.50 a person. So it's pretty inexpensive to get there and back. Of course, you can also take a water taxi to the Toronto Islands. A water taxi is a little bit more expensive. It's about $11 or $12 a person, and that's a one-way trip. Then you have to pay that coming back as well. It is more expensive, but it is a little bit quicker. It's also more private if that's something you're interested in. Now, if you look to our right-hand side, that's a nice view of the Toronto Islands there off the shore here of Toronto. And my recommendation to you, if you do go to the islands, is to go to Centre Island. Centre Island is my favorite island. It's a very tourist-friendly island, so nobody lives there, so you don't have to worry about screaming and waking people up. There's a lot of fun stuff to do. There's a hedge maze, there's a petting zoo, there's an amusement park called Centreville. There's a beach, you can go swimming at the beach in Lake Ontario. There's just a lot of fun stuff. There's bike rentals, boat rentals, restaurants. It's a great time to go to Centre Island. It's one of my favorite islands. There's also Wards Island. Wards Island is a residential island, but it's a great place to go for a beach day. And there's Hanlan's Point, which has a nudist beach on it, so if you want to go swimming naked, you can go to Hanlan's Point. Now, if you look to our right-hand side here, this big concrete building to our right is called One Yonge, the first building on Yonge Street. And it's also home to the Toronto Star, which is Toronto's newspaper company. So, back in the 1920s, working for the Toronto Star, there was a young guy by the name of Joe Shuster. And you may not recognize the name Joe Shuster, but you are definitely going to recognize the name of the comic book character that he helped to create, and that is Superman. So Joe Shuster helped to create Superman, and he based the character of Superman off of himself, of course. He also based the Daily Planet, which is the newspaper that Superman works at, off of the Toronto Star, which used to be called the Daily Star, so that's where he got the Daily Planet. And then he based the city of Metropolis, the city that Superman lives in, off of Toronto, Ontario. We are coming to another low-hanging bridge here, guys. I ask everybody to please stay seated. We are all seated. We are all clear to go underneath. As soon as we come out to the other side of this bridge, if you look to our left-hand side, there's going to be a really nice unobstructed view of the CN Tower. So that's as soon as we come out to the other side of this bridge, on the left, you can see from the bottom all the way to the top, it's a very nice view of the CN Tower.
Oh, we're stuck here now. We're stuck in traffic under the bridge. It's really, really noisy. It's very noisy, but we'll get off. We'll get out of the bridge very soon. Off we go.
Now, that's our view. Such a nice view of the CN Tower. Is kind kind of rare to find in downtown Toronto because of all the high-rise buildings, but that's one we still have. We are coming up to stop number 18. Stop number 18 is our stop for the Hockey Hall of Fame, the Sony Center for the Performing Arts, and it's also nice and close to Union Station if you need to access Union Station. Did we have any stop requests for stop 18? There are no stop requests upstairs for stop number 18. Now, if you look to our left, that is the Hockey Hall of Fame. The Hockey Hall of Fame is in a really beautiful building like that because that building used to be a Bank of Montreal until about 25 years ago when the Hockey Hall of Fame moved in. So this year, the Hockey Hall of Fame is celebrating their 75th anniversary and their 25th of being in Toronto. The first 50 years that the Hockey Hall of Fame existed, they were in Kingston, Ontario, which is a few hours away from here. But then due to high population and demand here in Toronto, they moved over about 25 years ago, and this is where they've been ever since, here on Front Street in this bank, or this old bank building. It looks like we have people that are waiting for us here at stop 18, so we're going to pull over and we'll pick them up, they can join the bus, and then we'll continue on the tour in just a couple of moments here. Thing called Dog Fountain because there are 27 statues of dogs on the fountain.
I'm gonna stand up.
So here it is coming up on our left-hand side.
There we are. Right in there. Oh, if you could slow down a little bit. I'm gonna get to right in there.
And then if you look to our left-hand side again, you will notice the Flatiron Building, this reddish-orangish building here to our left. And the Flatiron Building is called the Flatiron Building because of the way it's shaped. At the front it is very narrow, and at the back it is very wide. So it is a wedge-shaped building, and that's what you call a wedge-shaped building. It is a Flatiron Building. We'll be able to see how narrow this building gets once we cross through the intersection ahead of us. You can look over your shoulder and get a nice view of how narrow it is.
I can see through.
This particular Flatiron
I can see
building
through
is
it. Can you? Yes. Yeah.
so it's 10 years older than its sister building over in New York City. In New York City, there's another Flatiron building. It's a little bigger, it's white, it's not like this one, but they are the same shape, so they're sister buildings. That one was in 1902, this one's 1892. This is the original Flatiron building. It was actually the first ever Flatiron building to exist in a major city. And at the time of its construction, it was actually considered to be Toronto's first ever skyscraper. I know that it's only 5 stories tall, it's definitely not a skyscraper, but in 1892, 5 stories was pretty tall.
Oh yeah, it's really.
And if you look over our shoulder,
Look at
now,
that.
you can see
Oh boy.
we are
That.
going to stop 19. Stop 19 is for the St. Lawrence Market. Do we have any stop requests? Yes, we do have some stop requests. You guys are in for a real treat because just this year in 2018, the St. Lawrence Market was voted by National Geographic magazine as the #1 food market in the whole entire world. So it is the best food market in the world right now. If you
Oh
haven't
my
had a chance
goodness.
to go check it out yet,
Somebody
now's
needs
your
to
time.
come there.
Especially if you really like food, the
Yeah.
St. Lawrence Market is definitely worth your time. They're open till 5 o'clock today, and then they're closed on Sundays and Mondays. So make sure you get in today before they're closed up. Okay, enjoy the market, guys.
Some people are getting off. Hey Ben, hello.
Okay.
Stand up a little bit and film. There is not much to film. I wanna get that building. Okay. No, ma'am. Take your time. No. Take your time.
So, und jetzt kannst du hier reinsitzen, dann kannst du
It's a market. I'm gonna be in lots of movies today. Okay, it's a busy place. Very busy place. Look at that dog. Yes, yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't get that name. There she is. St. Lawrence Market.
Do you have many school excursions? Or take you many places?
Oh, look at the face of that. It's a what? That dog.
It's a bulldog.
It's a bulldog, eh? Look at me, lady. Oh, she's a lady.
I can see over there. It's got all sorts of doggy things.
Well.
Doggy posters.
Oh, wow. Yes.
Beyonce
Oh, right away.
little doggy there. It's got a bow tie on.
See, that's the one we're talking about.
No. Yeah, on the boat. It's a little brown one with him. You can see it's got the bow tie on one side.
There, I got it. Look at those. Oh, there are even real dogs. Yeah, she's got real dogs there. My guy doesn't want to stay there anymore. He want to go. It's a she. Oh. She's eating.
Side. That is the #1 food market in the whole entire world right now. And if you are a food lover, I suggest you go and check it out. Even if it's just for a bite of lunch or maybe some snacks, the St. Lawrence Market is really worth your time. Inside the St. Lawrence Market, there are over 120 different food vendors, and they're all selling something different. Everything from fresh fruits and vegetables that are grown locally here in Ontario, all the way over to really exotic seafood that gets flown in every single day by plane in order to keep it fresh. There's also a bunch of different stuff here, so you can buy vegetables and meat. There's a fresh pasta place where you can buy freshly made pasta and sauce. There's a bunch of seafood places, and there's also lots of great cheese. Basically anything you want to eat. Yummy bread, sushi. There's all sorts of yummy stuff in the St. Lawrence Market, so I definitely recommend you
It's
go
very
check it
busy
out.
inside, ma'am. Did you see inside?
There's one vendor inside
busy
the St. Lawrence Market who sells over 600 different kinds of cheese, 600 different kinds. So if you really like cheese, then that would be your vendor. And my recommendation from them is their mild Gouda. That was really good mild Gouda I had. And then the other vendor I'm going to recommend is in the basement of the St. Lawrence Market, and they make amazing baked goods and pastries. So if you love sweets and desserts, that would be the vendor for you. And my personal recommendation from them is their Portuguese custard tart. The Portuguese custard tart is super delicious, and now thinking about one, I want one. I'm really hungry now. But the St. Lawrence Market is a great place if you love food, and if you don't like cheese and you don't like desserts, that's okay. There are tons of other options for you to choose from. And if you're interested in going to visit the St. Lawrence Market, it's open from Tuesdays to Thursdays until 6 o'clock, Fridays until 7 o'clock, Saturdays until 5 o'clock, so today it's open till 5, and then it's closed on Sundays and Mondays. And if you haven't gone to check it out yet today, maybe go before it closes, because it is going to be closed up on Sunday, so tomorrow, and on Monday, the day after. Okay, so this street that we are traveling along right now, this street is called Front Street, and the reason why it's called Front Street is because this street used to be the actual front of Toronto. To our right-hand side, the water line of Lake Ontario would have come all the way up here to Front Street, just would have been at our right here. But of course there is no water here anymore, and that is because we filled in our waterfront with 5 major landfills. The reason why we filled in our waterfront was because between the sidewalk and the water level, there used to be a 20-foot drop. That is a 6-meter drop. It made it very hard to ship things to and from the city. So we filled it in, made it way less steep, more of a gradual incline. We also increased the square footage of Toronto by quite a bit by doing that. So that means that all of the land that is south of Front Street to our right, it's all man-made land, including the land that the CN Tower and Rogers Centre are built on. It's all completely man-made land. Now coming up on our left-hand side is a red brick building on the corner of the intersection ahead of us. It's just coming up on our left, that red building. And that used to be an oil refinery. It had something called a clear-story roof. So what a clear-story roof is, it's a roof that's not structured into the building. It just sits on top like a really heavy lid. And the reason for a clear-story roof, because it was an oil refinery, it was very prone to explosion inside. So here it is directly to our left. And if an explosion ever happened, instead of the entire building blasting apart, just the roof would pop off the top, which is a lot easier to replace than the whole entire building.
That's clever.
We are coming up to stop 20. Stop 20 is for the Distillery District. Did we have any stop requests for stop number 20? Okay, no stop requests upstairs for stop number 20, the Distillery
Like all the
District.
jeeps. There they are. Wow.
We do have some people that are waiting though. We'll pull over and pick them up, and then we'll continue on. The Distillery is at the very end.
Yeah, they are all the same.
Those big
They have the same features and everything. Yeah.